Speaking of going green, the pace car here at Thompson is in. The tires warmed up. These fans are ready to go to see the Icebreaker 150 at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. John McKennedy, the pole sitter on the outside lane, sees the green flag alongside Jake Johnson in turn one.
Bottom of turn number one. Who's going to get the bite? We heard it said before. They come off the turn. John McKennedy is the man out in front, and the outside lane seems to be the quickest with less than 5/8 of a mile into the record books. Side-by-side competition. They head back into turn number one. Leader of the pack still remains McKennedy and Austin Beers running right there in his tire tracks. Joe a little further back. It appears that Silk, his car, literally backs up a bit. He's in front of the 44 of Dowling. Inside, trying to make some moves. It just doesn't happen yet.
Jake Johnson started on the front row, but he slipped back to the fourth position. That car just did not come up to speed on the opening start. Side-by-side battle here. It's Ron Silk on the inside lane. He won his first race here at Thompson at the early part of his Whelen Modified Tour career. Went on to win the next three before he became a two-time Whelen Modified Tour champion. And the driver next to him, Trevor Catalano, actually spun in practice. They had to replace the transmission in that race car. Still put down a qualifying lap to start inside the top 10.
And that, of course, the car that is looking very good to the outside of your screen. Meanwhile, here comes Silk. He tries to keep that car running on rails in the bottom. So far, it just doesn't happen as yet. A lot of strong competitors in this one. They're still trying to get settled in. There's the one of Patrick Emmerling, the car that has the Jeff Bodine, Dick Armstrong. Paint, well, history looking automobile, setting there comfortably. Remember, Joe, the strength that Patrick Emmerling showed last year, mid-season event, is where his quest for the title began. He's on a hot streak. Go back to New Smyrna. You saw it, and I saw it. He was the guy.
When you go back to last season, when it started here in the August race, where he got that first win and put himself in the championship mix with a legitimate opportunity to challenge Justin Bonsignor and Ron Silk. Since that time, he's won 4 of the 8 races, half the races the Whelen Modified Tour has run, including the season opener. That team firing on all 8, and they are going to be contender. He's a winner here at Thompson. He smokes the left front tire, though, getting into turn 3. See, he was heavy on the brake that time.
Certainly was. That is kind of out of character, too. You know, earlier today, we talked with these competitors in the garage area. They all agreed on one thing. Final 60 laps, you need to be among the top 10 cars if you think you have a shot at this one. They said about when it's cool, there's a lot of speed. That, of course, comes from the horsepower beneath the hood. But the rest of the story is going to be tire management. This car and this track is always something that can change. Nobody knows what to expect. We are under darkness and the lights here. Nobody's been there yet. First outing this year at Thompson.
And that's after the track set cold all winter long. And it's been a long winter here in the Northeast. Middle of April now, still very cold. When they took the green flag tonight, there was 40-degree temperature with a little bit of a breeze. I mean, it feels like it's low 30s here at Thompson. Everybody bundled up in knit hats and gloves here at Thompson Speedway. The hardy fans in New England watching this one. But what that does for the racetrack, it creates a lot of grip. These cars will actually run faster as they go on, as they get heat in the tires. And we saw that in practice, and we saw it in qualifying earlier today.
We certainly have. Nobody's been able to step out of line to run the bottom of the racetrack. We saw earlier it was Ron Silk with the number 16 car that made the move. That we saw Chase Dowling. Now here comes the 48 machine. Lutz to the inside, trying to make that same move stick. You can see they can put the car down there, but they can't complete the mission. He pulls back into formation, tucks it into line as they work down towards turn 1.
Lutz and this team, Doug Ojeko is a crew chief for the 46 car. They have done a really good job to start the season. They were the runner-up at New Smyrna, executed the entire race, and that's something they put a lot of focus on in the second half of last year. They were happy with that performance. Craig Lutz is a 2-time winner here at Thompson Speedway, led laps in the season opener, and he's a driver that he is expected to have a good night tonight. As long as they can get a good pit stop, I'd expect to see that 46 up front throughout the night.
I agree with you 100%. He's so long overdue with this team. Remember, he left this team for a while. He came back to set behind the wheel, and they've been a threat. They've been so close. But this is not a game of chance. Being close, you've got to close and make the deal. Speaking of making the deal, Ron Silk now is right there To the right of your screen with a 16 car, and he is being hunted down, working some magic in the upper groove, and that, of course, is one of the Catalano cars. Big story earlier for the Catalano team. The car that went on first in time and set to the top of the board for most of the early cars to take time was one of the Catalano race cars, Joe, and it got no laps in practice.
The drive shaft broke early on in practice. He spun in turn one. That damaged the transmission. He did not hit the outside wall, though he came just a couple of inches away from it, did the 56 of Trevor Catalano. And I had a chance to catch up with him earlier today. He said, you know what, I don't typically run well at racetracks where you have to charge the corner, just as he does right now, to go underneath Ron Silk. He said, I like racetracks that require that tire conservation. When he won that race at Monadnock last year, he beat Ron Silk, the car he's racing with right now, and that was a tire conservation race. Trevor Catalano has been working on his game. He said, if I can get a little bit better at tracks like Thompson, get a little bit better on my restarts, I can be a contender. I like this place, and he's shown speed even against all adversity that he faced here today.
He certainly has. And remember, what we've seen so far, nobody has been able to pass on the inside. They will plant the car to the bottom. We've seen Ron Silk do that. We've seen Lutz do that. We've seen Dowling do that. But they are not able to complete that move. They have to back out of it and pull single file into line.
Well, if you look down at turns 3 and 4 here at this racetrack, it's a little different because there's a road course that they run here at Thompson Speedway, and they use turns 3 and 4. You see the wide pavement to the inside and all that extra rubber. Some of the drivers said that extra rubber gave a little bit more grip in turns 3 and 4 than down in turns 1 and 2, where they don't run on the road course, and they thought that could be a factor with drivers choosing the inside, middle, or top lane.
You know, earlier today we talked about when they repaved the surface at this particular racetrack. The first driver to literally go out on the new pavement was Tiger Tom Baldwin. It was through the Honig family. They decided to select him because they felt he had a lot of laps and success at this racetrack. There was a bump coming off turn number 2. The bump is gone and left, and then they added what we call those strips in the turn. And now we're looking at another generation of Baldwins. This kid has got such talent and such ability. What did you think of that run he had in the trucks, Joe?
Pretty wild. Had the opportunity to see that in person and watch his performance. I know he didn't get the result that he had hoped to get, but he has won some of the biggest races. And when you look at Luke Baldwin, third generation driver, grandson of the late Tom Baldwin, who raced here at Thompson, and in that opportunity where he said one of the first to run on this new pavement after it was repaved. Well, Luke Baldwin, he said, you know what, I just want to come out of a race satisfied with how I performed, minimize mistakes, maximize performance, and work on the little nuances of the race, whether I finished 3rd or 7th. As long as I didn't make mistakes, I'm happy with that outcome. So impressive as he gets under attack by Jake Johnson is that Luke Baldwin has only been racing for a handful of years. He ran Legends for a handful of races. Then he did a full season of Crate Mods. Last year was his first full season in Tour Modifieds. He won a championship in the Smart Tour, and now he's running the Craftsman Truck Series along with the Modifieds. He's really a talent. He's rising in the ranks of NASCAR, and he's running 3rd right now.
You know, all eyes are on him. There's no question. In the Smart program, he won some of the biggest paydays that they've had this season. Just a week ago, he was looking strong for another victory, and then a youngster, 14 years of age, comes in, takes it all away from him. An amazing story, and that's just one of the stories. But this Class Act kid, he's going places, and he is showing his muscle. But look out, here comes car number 07. Now, we're seeing the inside lane suddenly open up, and the 07 machine has become a factor.
You mentioned tire conservation early. When you're a guy like John McKennedy who's out in front, although Austin Beers is starting to pressure him, you can control your pace on entry, but you can see how much brake the 07 of Jake Johnson is using every time he gets into the corner. Heavy under brake. You can see the sparks flying off those rotors. He's using a lot of his race car up to gain speed. He went by Luke Baldwin. The question is, will that last on the long run?
You know, you're so right about that. This kid's had such success. He came out of the Seekonk area here at Thompson. He was driving, as we said, a lot of the front-running equipment, and he has become a huge factor. He continues to work his magic in the Linz propane machine out in front. Meanwhile, in that group of cars, that's what we're talking about currently, is those 3 cars run nose to tail. Leader is still John McKennedy. Margin between first and second is .455. Austin Beers setting there in second. Jake Johnson has worked his way up to third. I think Jake Johnson in there, you're looking at the 51 machine. Justin Bonsignore currently shown back in the 9th position.
And that's right where he started tonight. He hasn't moved forward. You mentioned track position and the value of that in this race. When you go back over the past races here in 2024, there were not that many cautions here, and so you've got to be able to start up front, move forward, and then maintain that position. So if there is a caution, you need to come down and get tires, you can play a strategy card and use that to your advantage. But you know, this track used to have a track where you'd have 5, 6, 7 cautions in a race, but things have changed. Now it's a different game here at Thompson.
It certainly is, and these competitors know that. They study how the racetrack comes to them and how it disappears. Interestingly enough, Bonsignore still trying to fight off, and here comes one of the young guns to follow him. That is Matt Swanson. Now, Swanson has a lot of laps on this racetrack. Gary Casella is the owner of the number 25 car. His best buddy, Mully, is the man that creates some of the magic with him. That car and that team, they can go the distance. They're long overdue for having success, and they've been here and done that before at Thompson. But not in a modified tour race.
Yeah, very much so, and that's a really interesting combination. That's one of the teams that's taking advantage of the Connecticut Challenge. It's an extra $25,000 bonus on the line for the teams that are running these 3 races at Thompson. They'll run here, the Icebreaker, the August Midsummer Race, and then at the World Series in the month of October. But it's only for certain drivers and certain owners, car owners that haven't raced in the Whelen Modified Tour in the past 3 years, or new owners that come into the series. Gary Casella has not spent a lot of time running in the Whelen Modified Tour. That opens up the opportunity for an extra total payout of $25,000 among the teams competing.
It certainly does. $7,500 goes to the overall winner, $5,000 for second, and $2,500 for third, all the way back to 10th, paying $1,000. Well, here is the challenge. It's been kind of, well, under the radar. But John McKennedy, super modified ace, one of the best in the business, former champion of the Whelen. Then a little different team, a little different combination. But right there behind him, a third-generation driver, that is Austin Beers, son of Eric Beers. And, of course, his dad competed as well. They are a racer's family. This kid has learned his lessons well, and Ronnie Uhouse and company with Sly Zabin. They have strategy. And remember, Sly Zabin was involved with Mike Stefanik during some of those years when he had tremendous success here at Thompson Speedway.
It's a great combination. Caution is out. We've got trouble in turn 2, and it's the 44 car of Chase Dowling as he has gone around. Tough break for Chase because he had one of the fastest cars in practice earlier today, but he'll bring us under our first caution.
He certainly will. And remember, the Whelen Modified Tour is brought to you by the good folks from Whelen Engineering. First name and light sirens and safety services used throughout the world. Whelen Engineering, American made and proud of it.
So first caution of the night came out on lap number 39. Chase Dowling with a solo spin off turn 2, and Chase very excited and eager tonight when he came into this race. He's a pretty low-key kind of a guy, but you can tell he was pretty amped up, knowing that he had a very good 44 race car, but didn't want to be the car to bring out the first caution.
He was so thrilled to get this opportunity in the ride during the off-season. He got married, and in addition to that, took on the chore of building his own brand new house. Now, when I say that, I don't mean he hired a bunch of contractors. He physically is involved in building that. And if you look at the back of the 44, you'll see the S&S paving. That is Kevin Starshuk, which is not only his boss, he is an individual that has supported this youngster from day one to do so. So, good run for Chase Dowling earlier today. Let's see what's going to happen later.
He's on pit road. A couple of other takers. None of the leaders came down pit road here. Roger Turbush on the turn 4 end of pit road. They'll come in and make some adjustments. Now, there are 5 different tires that they can take here under this race, and they can come in and take 2 at a time. So Dowling's going to come in and put 2 rear tires on, which if you're new to modified racing, that's common practice because that is how those modifieds turn. Now, they got the car jacked up in the back, and it caught the air, hose, I should say, on the front horn there before he's able to go.
We're looking now at the front of the field. John McKennedy, of course, has been the dominant car as the laps continue to tick away. But now look, McKennedy is coming down on pit road. Car number 79. Let's see if we can follow this pit stop through and see what the strategy is. And there, with him, comes Luke Baldwin. Behind him, Silk. Then it's Patrick Emmerling, along with Catalano, along with Justin Bonsignore, the 3-car of Tyler Ripkema, along with the 58 machine of Goodale. And then it's Kraus, Woody Pitcat, and Stephen Kopsik, all down on pit road as we speak. Now, we are 43 laps into this event. Joe, let's talk about that tire strategy. 2 tires is not a lot of tires, but you can move the front to rear if necessary, but it is going to be tough to do on a night like this with a surface like this and the bitter cold.
Yeah, it certainly will. Race off of pit road. Justin Bonsignore is going to pick up a ton of positions on the pit lane after coming in 9th. Ron Silk out 16th. He'll be 2nd. Patrick Emmerling, Luke Baldwin will be the top 4 off of pit lane, followed by Eric Burt. What is more important than who came down pit road was the drivers that stayed out.
Yes.
Austin Beers chose not to pit. Jake Johnson, Craig Lutz staying out, along with Matt Swanson. Matt Hirschman, the 59 of Tyler Berry, and Brian Sones are the drivers that decided not to come down pit lane. So mixed strategy here. You know, over the past handful of races at Thompson, the caution count has been so low that we haven't seen that mixed strategy. Tonight, with this different balance, you're going to see some interesting things here as these tires will start from 8th on back and have to race forward.
Certainly will. Remember, last year, car number 64, Austin Beers, he had the same type of strategy that he's putting to play in today's event. It was something that came a little bit short in the competition. Will that be the story today? Time only holds the answer in that one. As you can see, you're looking at Austin Beers trying to get some heat in those tires and keep it in those tires as that machine by Zabin, along with Ronnie Uhouse, and of course the Irish team, the owner of the automobile, is of course one of the great individuals in the pit area as well.
So field working here under the caution. They'll get 1 lap to go at the flag stand. Those Whelen Engineering lights will go out, as beautiful as they are, and that will indicate that there'll be 1 lap to go before we get back under the green flag. Now, the 64 car of Austin Beers will start on the outside lane. You go all the way back to the inside of row number 4. That's where Justin Bonsignore will start. He's the first car with new tires.
Sure is. We're going to see how quickly that's going to work. And look at car number 60, by the way. That is, of course, Matt Hirschman, who is already on the inside of that 3rd row. That's the yellow and red machine. So Hirschman is there. Remember, he's a closer. He doesn't show his cards early in the game of poker. He shows them when the money's put on the table and the high chips are rising in the competition here. Looking at the field now, so far, as we said before, things are looking good. Anticipating to go back up to green. The green is out, and we are racing here again, and it is Austin Beers. Battle is going to be for that 2nd spot as they come off the turn. A little bit of a stutter step there, but here comes Bonsignore. He's now challenging the 60 of Matt Hirschman.
Tyler Berry did not get off turn 2. He got a bit out of shape. Ron Silk got into the back of him. That allowed Bonsignore to pick up a handful of spots. As we get up to speed, we'll be curious to see what those lap times look like. Bonsignore carves to the inside of Matt Hirschman, trying to pick up another spot in the battle for 7th. Looking to the inside of turn 3 is Bonsignore.
All of a sudden, like Superman, his cape is out and he is flying to the inside. Matter of fact, here comes Hirschman, digging in hard in the outside lane. Down to the bottom of turn number 1 and off the turn. Yes, he's got it directly in front of him is Lutz. Swanson in the red automobile to the left of your screen.
An interesting strategy move by Matt Hirschman. He started back in 18th, did not have a good qualifying effort, trying to gain some track position, but right now he is 7th, and he's getting gobbled up by some of these cars that came in for tires. Patrick Emmerling goes underneath. Here comes Ron Silk to do the same.
There's no question Emmerling is doing a good job working his way inside once he gets, and all of a sudden, look at, here's Ronnie Silk. 16 car making a move, but there literally is a battle with Bonsignore still still trying to work his way underneath Lutz. He does. He sets his sight on Swanson. Down the back straightaway, evenly matched. They head into turn 3.
You can see the exit speed on the 51 of Justin Bonsignore. He can get to the gas so much faster. He gets 2 positions past, and that lap he's up to 3rd. The one thing that Ryan Stone, the crew chief for Justin Bonsignore, does very well is make adjustments on his race car that improves the speed. When you get that 51 car on pit road, everybody needs to look out. You can put tires on it and have that advantage too. It's twice as fast, and he is on the charge.
There's no question. And look at Ronnie Silk. Silk has worked his way up to the 7th spot. Silver car, number 16, inside of your screen. Patrick Emmerling is trying to shadow the number 16 car. It's not working. The spoiler is the other red automobile, Matt Swanson, running to the outside. Evenly matched. They are side by side. 2 red automobiles. What's going to happen? And now Emmerling has it by inches. Forward bite off the turn. Patrick Emmerling picks up the spot. He will now move into contention. He is heading to the front as well.
Now a couple of laps into the flag run, you start seeing about a 1/10 of a second the advantage for the drivers that did take 2 tires, and that was the limit that they could have taken on that pit stop. You can only take 2 per stop. They only came down pit road once, so that was the advantage there. Ron Silk might even be a little bit better than Justin Bonsignore. He got by Craig Lutz. We'll see what he can do here with open racetrack.
He certainly does appear to be that way. All of a sudden, if you're looking at timing and scoring and you track him, he just clicked off the quickest lap of this run. It was a 19.105. So Silk is definitely coming. Now moves to the inside. This is a battle we've seen many times. They almost come together like the old 2 cymbals in an orchestra. Ron Silk is dialed in. He pulls up, takes over position ahead of the 51. Is this all part of the strategy? That puts him up to position number 3.
That car turns really well in the center of the corner. You can see him fighting it as they came off the turn, but he can cut to the left on exit. And that allows him to carry that banking. That 15 degrees of banking, high banks here at Thompson, you can use that hill to gain momentum down these long straightaways.
Certainly can. You know, just a few laps ago, Bonsignore looked like such a huge factor. Now all of a sudden he's starting to settle in. A car that is starting to show its, well, Achilles heel a bit is definitely the Beers machine. On that circuit down into turn number 1, he went way up high. You're looking at the 64 in front of the Silk machine. Will he be able to hold on? Well, remember, strategy is different for the team and car 64 than the team in car number 16 and Ronnie Silk.
Yeah, Ron Silk is there. He'll look to the inside midway down the back straightaway and takes over the race lead, sweeping in front of Austin Beers as they come to 59 laps complete of the Icebreaker 150. We've got our 3rd race leader.
No question. While that has been going on, Bonsignore continues to dig hard. To the outside, it is still a good battle with the 07 right there of Jake Johnson. Johnson, again, his strategy maybe is much different in all of this. They continue to work their magic as they continue to run lap after lap. It is still a very strong battle and can't do it, can't get the job done. But he's going to test the waters again, Joe. He can reel him in, but not enough to make the move. Jake Johnson's doing a pretty good job of holding off Bonsignore.
And Jake Johnson, too, is one of those drivers that'll participate in the Connecticut Challenge as well. And the bonus money, if you can win one of these 3 races at Thompson, to be the first driver to do so among those competitors, it's another $1,250 that go in. And then, of course, the points that go with it towards that overall $25,000 purse.
And he's doing a pretty good job right now. Bonsignore has now picked up yet another spot. Bonsignore's moved into the 3rd position. Silk is the guy on top, and he is hunted down by Austin Beers. Now remember, Silk made the pit. Austin Beers did not. Justin Bonsignore did. Jake Johnson did. Craig Lutz did. Trevor Catalano also the same story there.
So the top 5 begin to string things out just a bit. The battle continues to heat up for the 4th spot. Jake Johnson in the 07 and the 46 of Craig Lutz. So interesting that Jake Johnson chose to come back to race here at Thompson, because this was a race a year ago that really separated him from the Bowler Racing 3 after a very hard crash that he had down in turns 1 and 2. But he comes back to Thompson, a track that he's got a lot of laps in and has spent a lot of time at. with that 07 car, so no surprise to see him towards the front. But it's interesting that he decided that this would be the track he would return.
It certainly is, but this kid's got so much talent. Family, his dad competed and raced here in a full-body car, what we call pro stocks here at Thompson Speedway. So this kid's got a ton of talent. But right there, look at Lutz working him over. Now, Lutz has really developed a reputation of being a good closer. He has changed his style of driving. We've talked about it before. He's been to victory lane on a couple of occasions here at Thompson Speedway as well.
Trouble turn 4. It's Patrick Emmerling, who has gone around, brings out the second caution of the night. Emmerling was running solidly inside the top 10. So the gentleman that won the race in New Smyrna, your championship point leader right now, goes for a spin for our second caution.
Sure does. And of course, that is the tribute car to Dick Armstrong's New Style Jewelry out of Franklin, Massachusetts. And of course, the legendary Jeff Bodine. That car and that look of that car was the car in the combination to beat here at Thompson in the old small block modified days, where this race facility ran what they called twilight racing on Sunday afternoons. And Dick Armstrong and Jeff Bodine were the guys to beat in that series as well.
So our second Whelen Motorsports caution is out, trusted to protect first responders. The lights are on here at the Speedway. That means we'll step aside and come back and recap it as Ron Silk leads the way in the Icebreaker 150. Well, back here at Thompson Speedway, Ron Silk took the lead in that last segment. He is the third race leader, and you better believe, Ben, that the drivers that stayed out, 7 cars stayed out under our first caution of the day, that they will come in and get tires, because we saw the difference in the speed of those race cars.
We certainly did see just that, and of course we're going to see what's going to happen here as well. We've had 3 leaders so far in the competition, and of course car number 79 was John McKennedy, the early leader of the event, led for 42 laps. Then the 64 of Beers took over the lead, led to about 59, and then of course car number 16, Ronnie Silk, became the third different leader of the event. So
looks like the 44 car of Chase Dowling should get the lucky dog. I believe it looks like he's the first car a lap down.
Yeah, it appears that he is just in front of the Ronnie Silk race car. You know, we talk so much about the incentive programs, but one of the big stories this year is the fact that the year-end payout on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is going to succeed $412,000. The overall championship has a shot at $82,000 plus, $41,000 plus for second, and $37,000 for third. It goes all the way back to 20th, where it's $8,000 plus, the big story there. Big money on the line, and of course, as we said before, a lot of history at this grand race facility as well, and we are honored to be a part of it. Let's see what's happening down on pit road.
Well, 64 of Austin Beers stayed out last time through, but he's down on pit road along with many others. Let's go down to Jesse Punch.
Austin Beers currently running in second, makes his pit stall, taking 2 rear tires. It looks like that team's getting that jack under the rear. Next to this pit stall, the 1-2 of Patrick Emmerling also up on the wall, preparing to attend to that race car. As you see, that red number 1 almost collides with the 64 of Beers, but they both managed to get out of each other's way as this one team jacks up that race car, going to change both rear tires and get that one back out on the racetrack, but narrowly avoiding some contact on here with the 64 of Beers. Thankfully, both cars managing to avoid damage. Oh, and it looks like the one is going to have another issue here on pit road as the team holds him off, attending to this left rear tire, having some issues, it seems, with getting the tire secure. Losing some major ground here on the racetrack after this car just brought out the second caution of the day. This one is a sitting duck here as this team tries to get this figured out.
Well, Jesse, it seems like they dropped the jack on that car to send him go. We saw Patrick Emmerling waving his hands inside the race car. I wonder if they stripped the hub, Ben, where they can't get that lug nut tightened back up again.
It certainly looks that way. You saw one of the crew members literally grabbing now They might have, now it appears that they continue to work the problem, but this is a very costly situation for car number 1. And also, back down on pit road is the number 64. So they kind of short pitted when they came in this session for the first tire, then they came back in for the second tire. So car 64 rejoins in the competition. He was running in the 10th spot. Now we're taking a look at that left rear, and it appears that there was a problem, and it looks like they might have cross-threaded the thing at first, but now they got it down, and he will rejoin. But boy, did he lose a lot of positions, Joe.
And a lap. He'll go a lap down on pit road. So not only did he bring out the caution, he'll go a lap down on pit road. Just want to update on the Austin Beers. You can only take 2 tires on pit lane. He's the only driver to come down and have 3 tires. That might have been their one and only stop of the race today. We'll see. As it all plays out, we're nearing the halfway point on the Icebreaker 150. Well, Ron Silk leads the Icebreaker 150, the second race of the 2025 season for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Joe Koss and Ben Dodge along with you for tonight's action in the quiet corner of Connecticut, but it's nothing like quiet when the Whelen Modified Tour, the ground pounders, are in town at this historic 5/8 mile track that has hosted 156 races now tonight in the Whelen Modified Tour. Thompson has seen just about all of it as far as modified racing goes.
And, you know, it has held more of these races than any other racetrack. A lot of history there. The one car, Patrick Emmerling, still they've got a problem. It appeared that they might have stripped a lug or stripped, well, there's something definitely we can see as we get a kind of a close-up there of what's going inside. Let's go down to Jesse on pit road.
Your speculation is right, you guys. I talked to this one crew. They said during that last caution where we saw the one get loose, unfortunately, that affected the wheel, which they think is what stripped some of those areas there where the lug nuts are. And so they're struggling to keep that left rear wheel on. However, they're hoping they can get that figured out. Unfortunately, really, really frustrated with how this has gone.
A wire hanging onto a lug nut there. With these cars, unlike what you might see in the National Series where they glue the lug nuts on, what they use oftentimes with the modifieds is a spring that holds that lug nut to the wheel for when they make those change tires. That was that wire that was hanging off to that lug nut.
And we also saw one of the crew members that was feverishly working. He kept shaking his head, no, it's not working, whatever they were attempting to try to do. And I think you're right. I think a piece of that wire ended up getting caught between. It didn't literally hold the wheel into position properly where they could tighten it initially. Here they come. Speaking of tightening it initially, we have 2 cautions so far, 75 halfway down. And we are back and green. Trouble now. We've got to spin down to the bottom of the racetrack. It looks like, yes, it is. Car number 81 is the car that ends up going around. And that, of course, is Mark Stewart. Stewart driving the Chris Turbush machine. He's, of course, one of the competitors from Riverhead Raceway. He's had some success here. They were really looking for it. You told a great story about what happened at New Smyrna to some of these competitors that were looking for big things in race number 1. It seemed like it was a long time ago, but it was back in February.
Yeah, he came off with the checkered flag in sight off turn number 4, got spun around, went driver's side into the outside concrete at a high rate of speed in a weird angle, and that was at New Smyrna. This is a brand new race car here. Watch the restart. Teddy Hodgson stepped on the gas, got sideways, and I think that just stacked everybody up on the inside lane, and Mark Stewart on the bottom, 3 or 4 cars behind when spinning down through the infield grass. And that's one of these things these drivers are going to have to keep an eye on if they've got fresh tires on. But getting back to Mark Stewart, they went back 2 days after that accident in New Smyrna. They bought this race car, picked up the motor in North Carolina on the drive home, got that refurbished and refreshed and ready to go, and they were able to come back. Some were not sure if he would be back. It's great to have Mark Stewart back on the Whelen Modified Tour again.
I think this kid's got a ton of talent, and you're going to hear an awful lot about him in races to come this season. Speaking of races to come, Joe, we are only on event number 2. Where do we head from here?
We'll head to one of your favorite racetracks in Winchester, New Hampshire. That's Monadnock Speedway,
yes,
JDV
sir.
Productions event. And boy, that one last year has certainly created a lot of excitement. Monadnock Speedway, and then how about North Wilkesboro Speedway in May, a companion to NASCAR All-Star Weekend?
Sure is, and it is a speedway loaded with history. These competitors love to go there. One of my favorite tracks is the Seekonk Speedway coming up on May 31st, and then, of course, Riverhead Raceway, the traditional favorite short track on June 14th. White Mountain Motorsports Park is a great facility, great vacation time on June 28th, and Lancaster, what a great race last year, on July 12th. It's all just getting pumped up, and we're just getting started.
And that is just the first half of this one, right?
Yeah.
We'll go right on through 3 trips here to Thompson Speedway, more times at Riverhead Raceway, and then they will crown the champion and give out a grandfather clock in the historic Martinsville Speedway in the month of October on a Thursday night, leading into the penultimate weekend for the NASCAR National Series that end up setting their championship for, and the modifieds will be part of that being center stage. Big news on this one with a quick caution, though, Ben.
It certainly is, and of course we're looking at the situation here, and of course the one car, we saw what the story was there. He now moves to the front of the field for the free pass, and then of course Ronnie Silk, Justin Bonsignore. We've seen this combination here at Thompson so many times before.
Well, Justin Bonsignore has been certainly one to keep an eye on over the years here at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. 14 wins coming into tonight. Let's take a look back at the history of Justin Bonsignore at this famed racetrack.
Who to watch driver will be our champion, the Phoenix Communications sponsor number 51 of Justin Bonsignore. He has swept the races here at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park.
Justin Bonsignore looking for another win here in 2019.
Justin Bonsignore showing he's a force to be reckoned with on the tour.
Healthy lead over Ronnie Silk.
Justin Bonsignore wins on the Whelen Modified Tour. Justin Bonsignore, a bit of history here today, becomes a 14-time winner at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. A dominating run for him. Justin Bonsignore has been solid all throughout his career here at Thompson, and we alluded to it a little earlier today. Mike Stefanik has a track record in wins here with 15, but it took him 106 races to earn that mark. Justin Bonsignore tonight at 14, 1 win away in just his 47th start here at Thompson. The speed at which he is setting these records is remarkable. The first one coming back in 2012. He won 6 consecutive races, dominated in the 2018 and 2019 seasons, and of course the winner at the World Series last year en route to another Whelen Modified Tour Championship.
Certainly is, and of course they're focused. They've been there. They've done that so many times, and they're ready. Let's take a look as they're about ready to go back to green and that front row. Bonsignore on the inside, Silk on the outside. Then we'll take a look back at row number 2, because that could be an interesting factor. Remember, Teddy Hodgson got off to a tough start initially when we went back to green on the last time.
He's in the white 55, a rookie in his first start in the Whelen Modified Tour. Green flag waves, and Ron Silk powers to the race lead as the rest of the field dances down the end of the front straightaway. Silk out in front, the battle now for second.
While that's been happening as they're side by side, look a little further back. Meanwhile, you can see Eric Goodale to the outside of your screen coming off the turn. He is now challenging. Goodale has worked his way into content in the top 5. Now remember, this is the first visit to the top 5 for him. Early in the event, he was in the mid-pack of cars. Goodale says he likes this speedway, but he wants to have a win here at the Thompson Speedway.
Did that a couple years ago, winning the World Series and a long run speed. Started 16th. Now he's inside the top 5. But look who is second. And that is the 56 car of Trevor Catalano, although maybe not for long, as Justin Bonsignore darts out of line in turn 3 and tries to challenge for the runner-up spot. But Trevor Catalano was able to get by Bonsignore in the outside lane there on that last start. And look who comes along with him, the 3 car of Tyler Ripkema.
We haven't even talked about Tyler Ripkema with the Boulder number 3 car. He's worked his way to the front, quietly but cautiously. A little bit of smoke coming off that time, as it was right there in front of Justin Bonsignore. So Trevor Catalano, his car puffed a little bit there. He's okay. Interestingly enough, JJ Vesey is a guy that's been moved to that car as part of the Catalano team. Here comes Bonsignore back in command. Position number 2, short-lived, Joe, because Catalano isn't giving up. And here comes Tyler Ripkema.
Bonsignore able to get the pass made as Trevor Catalano now falls under attack as Tyler Ripkema trying to get inside the top 3. He's had good days here at Thompson, as has the 3 car. Jake Johnson, who drove this car last year, had strong runs in the 3 at Thompson.
And we're seeing a perfect example of just that. Tyler Ripkema moves on to the podium in position number 3. That puts Catalano back to the 4th position. Meanwhile, it is still a lot going on right there, and now Catalano tries to take a peek back at it again. Can't do it. Still, the story is out in front, Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignore, Tyler Ripkema, and Trevor Catalano with Eric Goodale to round out the top 5.
Battles for the 8th position. Kyle Bonsignore in the 22. He started mid-pack along with Teddy Hodgson, who has fallen back after we got back under the green flag. Jake Johnson starting to make up for lost time, along with Tommy Catalano, while his brother Trevor sits there in the 3rd spot.
Teddy Hodgson has a car that appears to be good on the outside. When he tries to get down low, it doesn't work. That's the 55 car that you're looking at, the orange and white machine. Meanwhile, there comes the 07. Now Jake Johnson has worked his way into the top 9.
Johnson continuing to move forward after that round of pit stops. A couple of the drivers that came down pit road under that last caution are now mired deep in traffic because there was only 7 that had to come in to get those tires, and among them Austin Beers, who was a race leader for a while. He's gaining ground, but he's way back in 16th.
And meanwhile, you're looking at a good battle that is going on between John McKennedy, the original early leader of the event. McKennedy is trying to work his way back to the front of the field. He is now in the 7th spot. He just went into the 6th position while going around Craig Lutz with the 46 car. It appears that John McKennedy is moving forward, and he's coming rather quickly. McKennedy has now found a home in 6th. Eric Goodale will be his next marker just in front of him.
And McKennedy was one of those drivers that came in early. Remember, he pitted out of the lead just after the caution on lap 39, and he is charging. Jake Johnson underneath Craig Lutz will move him into the 7th position as Lutz begins to backpedal. But you go back and you look at that John McKennedy race car. He's really quick in traffic. He's closing into the back bumper of John McKennedy closing into the back bumper of Eric Goodale already in a battle that's in turns 1 and 2.
Certainly has, and there he goes. He's trying to make that move to the inside of the GAF number 58 machine. Here comes John McKennedy. He's got a rocket on the bottom, moves to the inside. Nice crossover. Goodale tries to come back into formation. Can't do it this time. John McKennedy is among the quickest cars on this racetrack. Car number 79. He is definitely coming back to the front. He is in the 5th spot. Trevor Catalano is coming up next. We are 96 laps complete in this event.
And he's not all that far behind the race leader at the moment. Now he's got a little bit of clear racetrack. We'll see what kind of lap time he can turn. In traffic, he was a 10th or so slower than the race leader, Ron Silk, but I think that was just because he was passing race cars, although Eric Goodale's given him a run for his money and not allowing John McKennedy to pull away and hide.
Certainly is not, and that is a real good battle that you're watching on Flo at home, and the fans are watching here as well. But once he is there and he gets a good run to the top side, gets a good bite off the turn, John McKennedy continuing to close in and close up the gap. Meanwhile, Silk is still in front, margin 1.537 over Justin Bonsignore. Tyler Ripka setting in 3rd, Trevor Catalano, and rounding out the top 5, it is John McKennedy. Here's that battle still going on, and now the 07 car of Jake Johnson, he's starting to settle in, Joe, and he is also moving in, making it a 3-car bid for position number 5.
Past the lap 100 mark. We're down to the final third of this one here at Thompson. You can see the 79 of John McKennedy. He's got the white gloves as you look through the windshield, really fighting that car on the exit of the corner. That car starting to fade, even though only a handful of laps ago it was showing a lot of speed.
Certainly was, but you got to remember, John McKennedy is one of those drivers. He drives by, well, the seat of his pants, as the old saying goes. He is fighting that race car, but he is still running in contention. But all of a sudden, Goodale, and right there, Jake Johnson. Johnson dips to the inside, down underneath Goodale. The Linz propane machine just lights him up, and now it is Jake Johnson. He's moved in and picked up yet another position. That is spot number 6.
Johnson grabs another one underneath John McKennedy. That'll put him inside the top 5. So it's Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignore, Tyler Ripkema, Trevor Catalano, and Jake Johnson. You look at what Ron Silk is doing at the front of the field as Eric Goodale tries to gather that position back from John McKennedy in turns 3 and 4. They've got lap cars up ahead. Goodale's able to get the pass made.
He certainly is. John McKennedy, you called it a few laps ago. That car was so strong when they went back to green, but it is now fading. And each and every circuit, it seems to be, well, a little bit slower than it was before. Kyle Bonsignore is in the 8th spot. Matt Swanson, the red 25, currently running in 9th, and Austin Beers is back up to 10th. Believe it or not, Joe, Patrick Emmerling, even with all those problems, is still a contender just out of the top 10 in the 11th position.
That quick caution for Emmerling was critical. Now Austin Beers working to the inside of Matt Swanson to move up to 9th, trying to get by Kyle Bonsignore. That'll put him in the 8th position. He's got those 3 tires. Remember, one of the only cars that's got that good a tire combination. He's now rallied back up inside the top 8. Interesting with Austin Beers. For a while here at Thompson, this track wasn't his worst, but he was kind of mediocre. He was neutral at this track. He would ride and get a finish between 6th and 10th. Last year in the World Series, came home inside the top 5, led laps earlier, and has certainly figured this racetrack out.
Certainly has. There's another shot of contention there. Meanwhile, car number 44, that of course is Chase Dowling. Dowling's moved into the top 12. He's looking racy, challenging Matt Swanson. Swanson continues to run high. Here comes Dowling to the inside. Pretty much evenly matched, but not enough to be able to make the move to give him the spot.
Both of those cars there, Emmerling in the 1, Dowling in the 44, went for solo spins tonight, trying to recover after both going a lap down and getting the lucky dog, the beneficiary, to come back around onto the lead lap, and they race nose to tail. Here's Emmerling looking outside on Kyle Bonsignore on the backstretch.
No question now, it appears that Dowling has worked his way around Swanson. He'll set his sights next. Dowling puts the pressure on Kyle Bonsignore. Inside of the racetrack, X and S paving. Number 44 moves to the inside, down underneath John McKennedy. McKennedy has faded back. He was in the 8th position, but now that car is not as strong. And now Chase Dowling has worked his way into the top 9. Remember, he was a car that brought out the first caution, came back using a lucky dog, and he is now a factor.
Yeah, trying to salvage a tough day. Here's a battle for the runner-up spot. Outside lane, the advantage. Tyler Ripkema had been tracking down Justin Bonsignore. Finally, as the run goes deeper on, Ripkema is able to get by for second. Now, this is all happening 2 seconds behind the race leader, Ron Silk, who's got that car on cruise control. Here comes Hirschman, though, looking to the inside of John McKennedy. This here is a battle for 10th.
There's no question. He has been kind of quietly coming back towards the front of the field, but now he finds himself in contention. Hirschman is just out of the top 10. Swanson is his next target, currently setting in position number 10. Chase Dowling back in the 9th position. Eric Goodale has dropped back to the 7th spot.
Matt Hirschman doing Matt Hirschman things right now. He has got a lot of speed in the late going, challenging Matt Swanson right on the back bumper as they roll off turn 2.
Watch Hirschman. Now, remember what everybody told us in the garage area. The final 50 or 60 laps. It is so important that you have saved everything, but you're going to run as hard as you can save as much equipment. But if the event goes green to the checker at this point, it's every man and driver for themselves.
Hirschman has to tuck back in line here along the main straightaway. Heavy traffic up ahead, but they're all for position, looking towards the bottom half of the top 10. Hirschman inside, off 2, looking on the Casella-owned number 25, but just doesn't have that drive on corner exit to make the move.
He'll try it again, though, this time off turn number 4, down into turn number 1. Can't do it. Swanson takes advantage of a lapped automobile to work to his advantage. Hirschman is still there. Just in front of them is the 44, the Tenio race car. That is with Chase Dowling. That's the battle currently for positions 9, 10th, and 11th. And that battle has been going on several laps, lap after lap. Here comes Hirschman trying to get a good run with that 60 car. Can't do it. Door is closed as Swanson continues to guard the spot. And either one of these cars, Joe, are absolutely perfect at this point in the event. But there is some talent behind the wheel of both of them. And here comes Hirschman.
I'm watching many of the battles around this racetrack, and there's not a single car out there that's happy. It is slip sliding around. Even though there's a lot of grip in this cold racetrack here tonight, you see them up on the steering wheel trying to keep the rear end underneath them and from stepping out at the exit of these turns.
You sure do. And you're seeing, as you said, everybody just do that. We are down to less than 30 laps remaining in this event. Meanwhile, we're looking at Matt Hirschman. Had a tough start to today, would like to close it. Was not happy with his run last week in the Smart race. And now the margin between Swanson is a lot more intense at this point.
We're watching here that second place battle between Tyler Ripkema and Justin Bonsignor. Ripkema had opened up an advantage over Bonsignor, but now he's got to work through some of this lap traffic. Brian Soanes goes high, and there is the 59 of Tyler Berry. He was having a hard time through lap traffic, but the caution flag is out for the 4th time. This time, it was off turn 2. I think it was Craig Lutz who got into trouble.
We'll see as we come off turn number 4. The car stopped to the bottom of the racetrack behind one of the poles in that area, and it was the Lutz machine that was the car that brought out the caution. 123, Joe, and you're looking at our leader, Ronnie Silk, in the Phil Moran prepared automobile, setting at the front of the class, and he has been there. The Hade Yeoman machine, of course, the Blue Mountain machine, Future Homes car, is your leader. Tyler Ripkema, he's been very, very strong and consistent in this one. He's overdue too, Joe, for some success and a victory here. With his family-owned race car, he came close on several occasions as well.
Hasn't seen it yet in 71 starts for Tyler Ripkema. But the question is, you've got tires on pit lane. Who comes down and who gets those tires? And how does that play into the strategy? I'd have to think that Ron Silk would not want to relinquish the race lead at this point in time, but who behind him comes in? Because we saw earlier in the race, 7 cars stayed out. It did not take long for those new tires to make a difference and for them to race forward and take over the race lead. In that case, it was Ron Silk. Will somebody try to do the same to him?
Question is that and more. 25 circuits. Pits are going to be open on the next lap by. So we're going to see how many takers we have. Jesse Punch is down there where the action is. And, of course, will it be one of the front-running teams that is going to come back in? Will Tyler Ripkema maybe make the move to head to pit road, or will he choose to stay out? Jake Johnson, his strategy. He's in the top 4. Austin Beers back up to 5. We told you the story about 3 tires there. Trevor Catalano is in 6th unofficially at this point. Eric Goodale is in 7th. Patrick Emmerling is in 8th.
Pit road is open, and Ron Silk is going to come down pit road and relinquish the race lead. So they'll come for those tires. Tyler Ripkema will come in along with Justin Bonsignor. Andrew Kraus is in, but let's go down to pit road for the coverage of the stops and Jesse Punch.
The leader, the 16 of Ron Silk, making his way into his box. As you guys said, electing to give up that lead to take both rear tires. Now just in front of him on pit road is that 51 of Justin Bonsignor, who was sitting third, also taking 2 tires. He's taking 2 right side tires, and the 16 will just barely beat. Wow, a battle off of pit road. And they come together trying to get out back onto the racetrack. The 16 making his way through the grass. What a showdown here on pit road, guys.
Often do you see 2 cars come together on the pit lane in a Whelen Modified Tour race? Those 2 drivers racing to the 2 cones at the exit of pit lane, and Justin Bonsignor has damage on the front nose of that 51 on a very aerodynamic and speed-sensitive racetrack.
Certainly does, and Ronnie Silk's machine does not appear to have any damage, but there, you got a perfect shot of it. You're looking at the front nose of the car that is literally pushed back. Perhaps that cone, you can see it's kind of opened up down on pit road. Several other cars are heading back down as well. So 127 and the laps continue. We got a great shot of the Bonsignor machine as it's coming at us, and Justin working the wheel inside of the race car, trying to get the feel for it.
You don't see that often.
No.
It was right side tires for Justin Bonsignor, which in and of itself is a little different in modified racing.
Yes, it is.
Typically, you want the 2 rear tires. Let's take a look at what happened as they exited pit road. Right side work complete for the 51. They come out side by side. The outside lane narrows up to just 1 lane. They're racing to that cone, and the 2 cars came together. Silk spun around backwards. He got to the line first. Bonsignor paused as everybody else came flying in, and they went off pit road 1-2. Really odd chain of events as they exited pit lane.
What is so interesting about all of that is you almost saw it happen, and then it was like slow motion. That we were lucky that other cars weren't attempting to come off from pit road at the same time, because that would have created even more havoc with all of this. But you know what? With 128, we've got a brand new leader. You know, that's the situation.
Well, a couple of cars decided to stay out, and among them is Jake Johnson, in the 07.
Yes.
He will be the race leader when we go back under the green flag at Thompson. Back here at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park is the field getting ready to get back under the green flag. 130 laps. Will be 19 laps to go when they get the green flag. Ben, this changes everything. You've got Jake Johnson, who will restart on the bottom. He's the race leader. Patrick Emmerling stayed out. Those 2 cars were last on pit road at our 3rd caution on lap 76. And the guys with tires sit there in that 2nd row, Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor.
They sure do, and they are in the ideal, we'll call it the catbird seat in the old days, sitting back in that 2nd row in the competition. They're there with some good company, because look back at row number 3. 64 is Austin Beers and Tyler Ripkema. In the bowler number 3 car is setting in position number 6. This is a sprint. This is what it's all about. Short track racing of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at the 5/8 mile Thompson Speedway, and you're going to see exactly, those of you watching at home on Flow and the fans that came out, we said it was going to get heated. It is hot in the cold off turn number 4. We are back up to speed, and we are racing trouble. They come together off the turn. The 07 literally snaking its way down into turn number 1.
Down into turns 1 and 2, Tyler Ripkema gets the old hip check, goes to the way outside. He'll go from 6th on back. Battle for 2nd. Justin Bonsignor on new tires, challenging for the 2nd spot under Jake Johnson.
There's no question. Caution flag comes back out. We've got a melee up in turn number 4. It is Woody Pitcat, car number 82, and the number 7 machine was involved for Luke Baldwin.
So 5th caution of the day, the 82 of Woody Pitkat involved. A couple of cars under that last caution took the wave around, and so they got back on the lead lap. That's where that action was taking place, with Luke Baldwin, Woody Pitkat, and Craig Lutz, among others. But the field will come back around. Let's first take a look at what happened up here in turns 3 and 4. It's mid-pack. There you see the 82 of Woody Pitkat drives into the left door of Tyler Ripkema, stacks everybody up behind, and although several cars stopped, it was only Woody Pitkat at the end of the day who was involved in the incident.
Yeah, and there was no contact made directly to his car. You're looking at Woody Pitkat's machine as it was contending, as we said before. Pitkat was running at the time of that situation. He was setting back in about the, well, we're going to say around the 20th position at that particular point. So
look at those wheels on that 82 car. That's the tape that they put to line the tires up when they put the lug nuts on. So they went with a neon color today so the crew could see it easy, but it creates an interesting effect as he rolls around the racetrack.
Sure does. Gunsmoke Stables, been a long time supporter, and of course Danny Watts decided a couple of years back he wasn't going to race anymore. Kept one of the cars. He was a much smarter man than I was.
It's hard to give it up. It's hard to give it up when it is in your blood. Racing, it's hard to just pass up on it. Woody Pitkat connected with Steve Greer, Gunsmoke Stables, and some of the other that are there, and he pulled the crew together, got the tires that he needed, and Danny Watts said, I'll make sure you've got the rest. I'll take care of the car. I'll make sure that it's got a motor and a transmission and the drive chain. If you get the people behind it, we'll go ahead and run some races. And they've got quite a slate on the 2025 schedule for them. We'll see this 82 car quite a bit.
We will, and at the end of last season, it came out very, very strong in a lot of races. Infinity Homes on the back end of the car as well. So, looks like some adjusting of the lineup. The car that seemed to have the toughest problem when we went back to green was Tyler Ripkema. That car started to fade, and all of a sudden, that's where Woody Pitkat and the two came in contact there. Back down on pit road.
These are the cars that took the wave around the last time, so they couldn't come down and get their service. So Luke Baldwin, who is running in the 20th position at the green flag, will come in and get his 2 rear tires and be set to go for the finish in that 7 New York. Has not had the second half of the race he wanted. First half of the race he was inside the top 10, but then has faded in the rounds of pit stops and the cautions that we've had, which have been the most we've seen at Thompson going back into the 2023 season.
Certainly has been. Luke Baldwin's car down off the jack. Unofficially, we've had 5 different leaders in the event. The first leader, of course, was John McKennedy. Austin Beers then took over the number 1 spot. Behind them was, of course, Ronnie Silk, the 3rd different leader of the event. Then it was the number 07 car, our car for Jake Johnson, that became leader number 4. And Patrick Emmerling is currently being showed with car number 1 as the leader of the event. And what an amazing story this would be for that team after having that, what appeared to be a serious situation on pit road with the left rear tire. At one point, it almost looked like the crew was going to give up. They never gave up, and rightfully so. The new style jewelry car, if you go back, blink your eyes, it's not Jeff Bodine, it's Patrick Emmerling, and there's old Big Red running at the front of the field, car number 1. Very familiar in the old days here at Thompson.
Jeff Bodine, who had a lot to do with the history of NASCAR. You go back and look at many of the innovations that NASCAR had. Even the full-phased helmet, a wild crash that he had off the back straightaway. Before they had the chicane, the inner loop at Watkins Glen International in upstate New York, that moved drivers from the open-face helmet to a full-faced helmet back when that accident happened. And then he was a driver that really was able to keep Hendrick Motorsports alive. You go back to 1984, Jeff Bodine convinced Rick Hendrick, let's go racing one more time at Martinsville. Allow me to do it. Reluctantly, Rick Hendrick said, okay, I'll let you go. He went on, he won the race, and it kept Hendrick Motorsports alive to the point where now they are the best organization statistically in the history of the NASCAR Cup Series. And Jeff Bodine from New York had a lot to do with that success, and it all started with modified racing.
It sure did, and it was a major part of racing here that originated back in the good old days at the Thompson Speedway. And now it looks like we've got the field doubled up. Interestingly enough, nobody wanted to really see this caution with the exception of the guys up front in the field here, because we are still counting laps. 137 is up now on the board. So that pit strategy that came out during that caution before this one, where everybody went down on pit road, is it going to pay for some, or is it going to cost some others, Joe?
Well, I think it's risky to stay out on those old tires, but if they wanted a shot to win, they needed to do it. I would love to have fresh tires underneath my modified when we get back underway with 12 laps to go. Johnson on the accelerator. His car slips again. They'll stack up deeper in the pack as here comes Ron Silk pushing Patrick Emmerling to the race lead.
Patrick Emmerling out in front. Here comes Silk. He runs in the tire tracks. He'll look to the inside. Bold move. All of a sudden, Justin Bonsignor is trying to make some noise to the inside. Sideways again is Jake Johnson down into turn one.
Johnson with those old tires can't keep the car underneath him, and it's holding Justin Bonsignor up. Here comes Austin Bierzo. He wants a piece of second, while Ron Silk wants the race lead in turn 3.
There's no question about it. Off the turn, Silk is back in command. Here comes Emmerling. He tries a crossover. Bonsignor, Chase Dowling side by side with a bid for position number 5.
Bonsignor took him 3 wide last time through turns 3 and 4, trying to move forward, but Dowling around the outside lane. He's resurged after a spin earlier in the race to put inside the top 5.
It's not over with yet. 10 laps to go. Silk is still the leader. Bonsignor right on the back bumper of the number 1 car of Patrick Emmerling. Here comes Bonsignor. He'll try to make the move. They come together.
Off turn number 2, Jake Johnson and Teddy Hodgson, as Johnson went airborne for a moment with a right front tire, the 6th caution of the day. We saw how Johnson had a hard time keeping his car underneath him with those older tires, and he got collected as he was backpedaling there off to a tough break for Hodgson, who was in his debut for the Whelen Modified Tour, and a dream come true. Window net quickly down in frustration for the young driver here in the 55.
Heartbreaking situation for both of these young men, but you called it best, Joe. All of a sudden the 07 car could not hold on, was trying everything to do exactly just that, but unfortunately the clock is ticking, and it appears tough break for this young driver. Has not had much luck, if you think about this. Here at Thompson in these opening events, these Icebreaker events, a year ago, you talked about the situation when this young talented driver was competing and driving in the 3 car.
See what happened here off turn 2 is a little deeper in the pack. Johnson up in the outside lane trying to cross over underneath the 25 of Swanson, and the car just came out from underneath him. That was a hard lick into the right front corner. Teddy Hodgson absolutely nowhere to go as the racetrack closed up in front of him. But Johnson, he had been fighting that loose condition, and he just went sideways in front of a pack of cars.
He comes out sideways. The 21 machine, Steven Kopsik, had no place to go. Right in front of him, and you're right, they hit it a ton. And the damage you can see. Heartbreaker for Teddy Hodgson, as well as the great run that was turned in so far by the number 07 car as well, and he's looking at the tremendous amount of damage there as well.
Ultimately, what happened to Jake Johnson is he put some right-hand wheel into that coming off turn 2, and these big tires, these are 15-inch Hoosier tires on the front of these modifieds, and when you get one of these modified sideways, you got to be careful not to steer too far to the right. Jake Johnson, a veteran of this type of racing, but when he did, that right front tire caught, it hooked, and it turned him right into the outside of Teddy Hodgson.
Right. And once that happened, he had no other alternative whatsoever, as the 07 machine and the safety services group over there trying to get that car down. 142, and we are under a red flag situation here at Thompson Speedway.
Cleanup continues off turn 2. We'll be back with the finish. 8 laps to go in the Icebreaker 150. Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, the second race of the Whelen Modified Tour season under a red flag. for a crash between Jake Johnson and Teddy Hodgson off turn 2 as everybody was racing with an eye towards the finish. But Ron Silk, who in the second half of this race has the quickest modified in the property, is out in front, and he's got a very strong number 16 car tonight.
He certainly has. Well, what about Patrick Emmerling? Came from a bad situation on pit road, came back and worked his magic into the front of the field as well. And, you know, it's all about the Connecticut Challenge for some of these drivers as well, Joe. And, of course, $25,000 in total will be distributed to the top 10 eligible car owners. Eligible car owners are those who haven't competed in a NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event in the past 3 seasons. So, car owners must compete in all 3 events here at Thompson for this season to claim the prizes. A lot of money on the line. $7,500 to the winner, $5,000 to second, $2,500 for third. Then there's a bonus of $1,250 to the first eligible car owner to win one of the 3 events.
Yeah, so they'll put all the points together of the 3 Thompson races. This one, the race in August and in October. It all makes up the Connecticut Challenge here at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, and that's why we see some new contenders like Teddy Hodgson, who was involved in this latest incident, and drivers like Matt Swanson and the new car owner to the series, Gary Casella, and others competing for this extra $7,500 bonus to the winner and $25,000 overall as part of the Connecticut Challenge.
It certainly is. You know, we're looking at timing and scoring, and once again, the safety services crew here at the Speedway, wreckers, and all of those people doing an outstanding job trying to clear this situation as quickly as possible. Jimmy Wilson and the entire staff of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour are here at race control, and there's Teddy Hodgson's father checking out the right side of the Montanari Fuel business time car. That kid's got such a bright future ahead of him.
His dad went to school to learn how to become a pilot at Embry-Riddle University, which is right off the backstretch at Daytona International Speedway. He spent time racing at New Smyrna in the old Slim Jim Series and late model competition. His dad, now a pilot, built that career, and now he's got a career going with his son here. A bright young kid, and I'll tell you one thing about Teddy Hodgson. That young man is a tall human.
He is.
He is very tightly packed inside that race car.
He could have had a career in basketball.
He could have 6.5 feet tall. You see him there on the left. Hard-working individual, Teddy Hodgson. Is going to be a nice addition here as part of the Connecticut Challenge. And he's a champion of modified racing already. Knows how to run these open tour type modifieds, and it really suits his style. You talk about just a good family, a gentleman-like driver. He likes the longer format racing, not the short beating and bang short track 20-lap Friday night,
right.
Saturday night, shootout races. This is his style. Tonight it didn't work out for him with the incident off turn 2.
You know, I'm going to take a quick look and set the field for everybody that is watching on Flow and for here in the grandstand. Ronnie Silk is, of course, your leader. Patrick Emmerling is currently shown in second. Austin Beers is in third. Trevor Catalano hanging around up front all day long. Great run for him in fourth. And what about Chase Dowling? From the back to the front, from the back to the front, he's now in the top 5. And then we've got Justin Bonsignore setting back in sixth. Matt Swanson in the 7th spot. Stephen Kopczyk worked his way up to 8. John McKennedy in 9th. And Tommy Catalano to round out the top 10. Joe, any of those top 10, remember that story these drivers kept telling us earlier today? They said you have to be in the top 10 in order to be a winning contender if this event does not go into a long period of green in the final few laps. We're not going to see that because we've only got very few circuits left and remaining in this event.
I think at this point, if you're not in the top 5 with 7 laps to go as we work under the caution flag, it's not a place that's going to get you in a position to win this race. Eric Goodale after the red flag. His car did not get rolling once again, and it stopped just off turn 4 on the front straightaway here, and he needs a little bit of help getting that 58 rolling again. Tough break for Eric Goodale because he had shown pace there in the middle third of this race, but now a red flag really works against him here with this car now going a lap down.
You know, it sure does. In his strategy, he called it earlier today. This was exactly how he wanted it to play out, but unfortunately, it looks like mechanical woes might be the story. Hopefully they can get this thing fired back up, but it doesn't look very promising at this point. We're looking.
See him shifting it, trying to pop start the car and get it fired back up again, but
doesn't want to fire. Nope.
The push truck's giving a pretty good push. It's like how Jake Johnson's car was sideways around this racetrack over the past handful of green flag laps.
Well, now apparently he's got it. Yeah. No, false alarm.
You see that bumper's pretty well beaten up, which is interesting for a race here at Thompson. You typically do not want to use a chrome horn, but I think that would have happened at a restart with the way they beat and bang on each other here on the front straightaway. Or that. Well, Duke's doing a good job getting that thing rolling.
Sure is. He's a yardman, you know.
Absolutely.
Old Duke is.
Just can't get it fired up for Eric Goodale.
Tough break for Eric, as we said before. He's been exceptionally strong.
So we're going to be down to a shootout here, and it's going to be on that restart. And we saw how wild those starts were the last couple of times with these tires in the cold track conditions here at Thompson Speedway. We started the race tonight. It was 40 degrees. We've lost a little bit, 38 degrees, and a chilly evening, to say the least. Everybody with their knit caps and 5 or 6 layers of clothing on to stay warm here at Thompson tonight. But the fans have stuck it out. They've been with us, and that's why, Ben, they call this one the Icebreaker, because it's doing just that.
Let's go down to Jesse Punch with Teddy Hodgson. Jesse?
Teddy Hodgson, one of the drivers involved in that last caution. Teddy, from your perspective, what happened out there?
Yeah, just a lot of guys trying to race for positions that honestly don't really matter, but Jake just overcorrected in front of us. We had nowhere to go. So I just can't thank all my guys enough. Monterey Fuel, Creative Racing, Business Time Motorsports, Gator Sport Fishing, Brookfield Glass, McCarthy Gutters, Bagel Man, Robert Yates Racing, just everyone that helps out. It's tough for our first outing, but we'll be back.
Thanks, Teddy.
Teddy Hodgson out in the late going of this one. 3 laps to go in the Icebreaker 150. The race leader, Ron Silk, to the outside. Patrick Emmerling down low as they come up off turn number 4 for the green flag with 3 to go.
Here we go. Outside lane looks the quickest, and it is Ron Silk to lead the parade off turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Moving now to the inside. All of a sudden, here comes Austin Beers. Beers makes the move to the bottom. He'll challenge for second. Beers will move in, but Patrick Emmerling comes back to life.
Silk opens up a healthy advantage in the race lead. Less than 2 laps to go. The battle for second. Austin Beers to the inside. A bit loose off turn 2. Here comes Emmerling back to the outside.
Emmerling still trying to hold on. Beers is right there. This time, when they come off the turn and heads to the stripe, they're still evenly matched. 149 up on the board.
White flag is out, and Ron Silk with a healthy advantage as they battle for second behind him. It's Emmerling around the outside lane, but Silk in turn 3 headed for the checkered flag.
Off the turn, it is Ronnie Silk to take down the win. But the story for second is Patrick Emmerling to finish in the runner-up spot. Great run for Trevor Catalano, unofficially in 3rd. Austin Beers for 4th. Justin Bonsignore to round out the top 5 with Chase Dowling to finish in position number 6. Stephen Kopsik is 7th. John McKennedy is 8th. Tommy Catalano is 9th. And Matt Swanson to round out the top 10.